Hi, we are in the studio today with singer-songwriter and guitar player Steve Wariner. Steve has had 16 #1 hits. He also has 3 gold records and 4 Grammy Awards. He also writes #1s for several other artists as well. And besides all that, he is a fantastic guitar player here in the area.
Thank you.
So Steve, tell us how you got started playing.
Well, I guess it came natural for me because my dad and all of his brothers, he had 6 brothers and 6 sisters.
Okay.
5 brothers and 6 sisters, but they all played. And my uncles would come to our house when I was a little kid, and they all played everything: fiddles, banjos, guitars, harmonicas. My dad is really a good guitar player and fiddler, and I really just came about it naturally. I thought every kid was around that. I thought every family was like ours, you know.
Sure. Did you go to school for music?
I did not. I just played, you know, since I was a kid and studied and played out in a lot of bands and with my brother's bands, my uncle's bands, and just played a lot.
School of life, huh?
That's it.
Well, Steve, you won one of your Grammys with the My Tribute to Chet Atkins album on your own record label.
That's right.
Tell us about that, some of your influences, how you met Chet.
Yeah, Chet and I go way back. I met him, the first time I met Chet, I was working, playing bass with the late, great Dottie West. And we were on a tour of England, and I met him in London. But then fast forward till about 1976, I met him through a guitar player named Paul Yandell. And he took some of my songs to Chet, and he heard some of my songs and wanted a meeting, and of course I wanted a meeting. I was hitting him up to try to get a meeting and pitch my songs, and hopefully it would lead to a record contract, which it did. He signed me to RCA in 1977, I believe, and we went in the studio and cut some records. And during that time too, I started touring with him. He needed a bass player, and I was looking for some work anyway, so I took off and toured with him as well as while we were trying to make records. So, but Chet, as a young kid, I would sit and listen to all my dad's Chet Atkins records and go, man, I'd like to play like that. It sounds like 2 guys playing. I want to play like him, you know. So I always admired him and loved him. I guess a lot because my dad did too, but I loved his playing and always admired him.
What are some of your other influences besides Chet Atkins?
Oh, it's all over the map, really, my influences. I remember as a young kid, I used to watch, watch Ricky Nelson, Ozzie and Harriet. I date myself here, but I was very young. But I used to watch that in that show. And James wouldn't like me saying this probably, but I'd watch James Burton playing guitar, and he was just a young kid himself. And I could not wait for that part. I just watch him playing his Telecaster, and I wanted to play like that, you know. So James Burton was always a huge influence. And Glenn Campbell's The Good Time Hour, you know, I used to watch that, and he'd have Jerry Reed on there, and I wanted to be sitting there with those guys. I knew I couldn't, you know, no way I could keep up with those two, but boy, I love watching that show. So a lot of guitar influences, other than my father and his brothers and my family, you know.
Very cool.
And if you sail with me, we will find the sea. We will find our love over again.
Well, Steve, you are one of only 4 players in the whole entire world to be awarded the CGP by Chet Atkins. Tell us what that stands for.
I thought you were going there. CGP, that stands for Certified Guitar Picker.
Okay.
Well, Chet had an album once that was called Chet Atkins CGP, Certified Guitar Picker, and or Certified Guitar Player, some people say. But anyway, Chet started giving some of his buddies that award. He gave it to Jerry Reed, was the first one. He just wanted to honor Jerry, and Paul Yandell was kind of in on that. They kind of came up with a way to honor Jerry. Well, then it kind of snowballed. Then Tommy Emmanuel and John Knowles. I was the last one to be certified, you know. And I suspect there'd be a lot more if Chet had lived longer, you know. So, but I was the last one.
That's
so
special.
CGP.
Yeah.
From a half-baked kid to a full-grown man, standing out in front of this four-piece band, playing those dives every Saturday night, dreaming of fame and my name in lights, with the fancy suits, the Cadillac car, the touch and the tone and the twang of Chet's guitar. I know that's right.
Well, Steve, tell us about Guitar Laboratories. It covers all different styles.
This is my laboratory right here.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, it kind of covers a lot of styles. And on the heels of the guitar project I did, the Chet Atkins tribute, now we stayed in the guitar mode, and I had so many great responses. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to do another project that's kind of features a lot of styles and a lot of the music that I love. You know, there's everything on this, from Hawaiian music to jazz to swing to country to rock and roll even. Brought my two sons in, they played with me, each wrote a song with me, and it was really fun because it's all the music that I love to play, and it gave me a good excuse to drag out a bunch of my guitars, you know, some of my old vintage guitars, and it was a lot of fun. I wrote everything on it except one song, the old Hank Garland classic, Sugarfoot Rag, and I brought in Leon Rhodes, who is world-renowned jazz player. He played with the Texas Troubadours, and he lives in Donaldson actually here, and I brought him out to play on that, and we had a blast. Paul Yandell played with me on a song called Pals, and my two sons, Ryan and Ross, and we had a blast. And I think the name of that album came about one night. A friend of mine came by, and I was up here working. I had guitars laying around, cables, amps. My hair was sticking straight up. And one of my friends goes, "Man, what are you doing up here? You look like a mad scientist." And I went, "Oh, that's a great idea, Guitar Laboratory." So that's where it came from. So, hey, here's a lick that's kind of cool. I'll show you this. It's sort of a little counterpoint lick. So check this out. I'm doing it actually in D. It's drop D position. So check this out. Actually makes a nice ending. I'll do it slower, starting.
Well, Steve, just last week you got inducted to the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, that was so cool. We had a blast. I love it because not only did I go in with one of my pals who's no longer with us, and I miss him terribly, Keith Whitley and Patty Loveless, and a bunch of my friends went in, but also, you know, there's some great folks in that Hall of Fame, but one of my guitar heroes, and I know he was Chet Atkins' guitar hero, but Merle Travis is there too. So the thumb pickers are well represented, I think, in the Kentucky Hall of Fame. I'm proud to be in it.
Well, Steve, tell us about some of the other projects that you're currently working on, what we can expect to see from you soon.
Well, right now I'm kind of wearing my songwriter's cap. I'm working on a couple of new songs and new recordings. I've been in the studio. I've been writing with some of my pals, Bill Anderson and Alan Shamblin. Got some new songs coming up. That's kind of taking it to the marketplace, you know, trying to get some cuts, but that's always fun. I enjoy that. That's a great thing for me to get back into that. I love the songwriting. But also we have a show coming up. I'm coming to New York City. I'm dating our interview here, but I'm getting ready to come and do a big show in Soho, Lower Manhattan. I'm going to do a show. Also down the line, it's in their next season, but I'm really thrilled to get a chance to be playing 3 nights with the Nashville Symphony. I'm going to play that and at the Skirmerhorn here in Nashville, and that's a beautiful, beautiful venue. And so that's going to be exciting to play those shows, 3 nights. And I definitely will tip my hat to Chet Atkins on those shows and play some from the tribute to Chet Atkins. So, and then I'm out touring. I think later in the year we do a swing through Texas. I do some dates, and I'm always writing and always trying
Yeah.
to play guitar, so it's always trying to keep up, you know.
Well, Steve, thank you so much. I'm so
Oh,
glad we got to interview you in between your busy schedule.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I just try to fool people. I'm not that busy, but I'm really glad you're here. Thanks, Erica.
Well, thank you.